Welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. I am not smiling because this is serious business. And we are very blessed to have with us today Twinkle Cavanaugh. And we have a major race coming up here. The Lieutenant Governor's race is extremely important. And I think that Jack and I want to ask you some really pertinent questions.
Thank you for letting me be with you all today. First of all, I really appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. One of the things that our folks, and they vote, need to know, what is the difference between you and your opponent?
You know, I think there's a major difference, and it was 3 years ago when Donald Trump, I believe we were on a real crossroads. After 8 years of the Obama administration, we had an opportunity to stop some of the damage that was being done here in Alabama. There was a complete crossroads between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I laced up my tennis shoes. I went and knocked on doors for the president. I spoke at rallies as a volunteer and talked about making America great again. So I was very involved. The opposite was with my opponent. He was name-calling and making it very difficult for the president. He actually said that the ridiculous act needed to be stopped. He actually called him a New York liberal and said that he was a con man. So when you're out name-calling people within your own Republican Party and instead of working to build bridges and to make America great again or make Alabama great again, that is the wrong direction. Another example, I have worked with Governor Ivey. We have got to take our state forward. We have got to quit being on the front page of newspapers all across this country for negative reasons. We've got to start being the state that shines because we've got so many good things to talk about.
We do.
But instead, my opponent has been busy beating up on the governor, saying things like that she'd have blood on her hands. We don't need to be like that as a state. We need to come together as a group of leaders and talk about our greatest resources, talk about we're a state that has fantastic people, fantastic landscapes, so much to offer, but this is our opportunity to sell Alabama and shine. We don't need to be on the negative front like my opponent has been.
Okay, I've been in the advertising and marketing business for a long time. 30-second commercial really says nothing, but it can say a lot. In fact, it can damage a person permanently. One of the things we're hearing is the fact that you are creating all these taxes. I didn't think that your office has the ability to create taxes. Now it can if all the power bills go up, but that's not a tax actually.
Well, we have had decreases. In fact, under the President Trump said, I'm going to give back taxes, and with his tax decrease, I actually mandated that the utility companies pass those on to the consumers. So when you talk about cutting taxes, we've actually said we're going to cut taxes and then send it back, that Trump tax cut back to the people. And I think that was important. But you know, my opponent, instead of talking about what he will do for the state of Alabama to make us shine, to take us forward. Instead, he used his 30 seconds of advertising to bash me and to try to destroy my record, my conservative Christian record. And it's very disheartening as someone who believes in our state, someone who believes in our conservative way of life. But the reality is I have never voted for a tax increase. And you are right, at the Public Service Commission, we do not vote on tax increases. And in fact, my opponent, who was talking about the fact that I did vote for a tax increase, was absolutely false. I voted against any tax increase, and in fact the one he's speaking of voted against it. And the interesting thing is he's on record saying he voted against it, but he wasn't even registered to vote. And so he has taken his 30 seconds to destroy my conservative record, and I don't think that's going to get him very far. I believe the people of Alabama are looking for someone with a record of cutting state government and getting more money back into the pockets of real hardworking Alabamians, and that's who I am.
One of the things that Jack and I talk about is we don't want to have candidates that just talk the talk. We want you to walk the walk. And
Amen.
I am interested in the fact that your record stand on your record, because I think what you did when you went into the, you have got some real facts to put out there about saving Alabamians money.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I first ran for the Alabama Public Service Commission, I went in for one reason. I didn't. It was shrouded in secrecy. No one really knew what the commission did, and but I knew one thing. I knew they were spending a lot of money, and so when I ran, I said, I'm going to learn what they do. I'm going to do the best job possible, but I'm going to right-size that state government entity. So many times we help people get elected, and they get into office, and instead of acting like a conservative, they grow government. And I said, I'm going to prove that you can cut state government. And so at the Public Service Commission, we have reduced our number of staff. We didn't do it by firing anyone, but we had an older staff, and as they retired, we would rearrange and retrain. We now have a fantastic team doing a great job, but instead of 119 employees, today we have 72. And that's saving money annually. We also had 59 state cars. I led by example. I did not take the state car that comes with a state elected position. I drive my own car, and I've reduced the number of cars at the commission. Today, instead of 59, we have 24. You only get a vehicle if you need it for an audit, or if you are an investigator or an inspector and you need it all day, every day for your job. And those are cuts that we've made. We've cut our office space size, we've cut travel, we've cut office expenses, and today we are returning $13 million annually to the people. Now, if a small agency can return $13 million, what can the rest of it do? And we've got real issues in Alabama. We've got to have the money for infrastructure, roads, bridges, broadband, and education, and other things. We've also got to have it on with our police force and mental health. But it doesn't need to be wasted in state government. And you're right, Virginia, I have a record of savings.
Okay, how do people get in touch with you between now and the election if they want more information before we close?
They can go on Facebook, or they can go on Twitter, or my web page. It's Twinkle for Alabama, F-O-R, Twinkle for Alabama. And you know, Virginia and Jack, I give my cell phone out because if you want to serve, you've got to be accessible.
Absolutely.
It's 334, local number in Montgomery, 558-5432.
Good. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
Just remember
Thanks
this,
to your
the
audience.
election is on the 17th. Make sure that you go out and vote. It's not only your right, it's your obligation. And we'll be right back right after this.